Start the recording, switch screens. Might help if I had Firefox up. There we go. Alright guys, welcome back. I believe this is our fourth session, if you include session 0. And I just have a couple of announcements, really. The first being is that the next Wednesday, so not tomorrow Wednesday, not August 15th, but August 22nd, I will be starting the stream of the Wrath and Glory game, which I have been teasing for the past couple weeks. I think it'll be a good time, but more info on that as we get closer. I will say it will be at the same time as this. Well, obviously not the same day. So Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Daily Time. That should be GMT -4. And as usual, if you can't catch the stream, I will put it on YouTube, put it on Twitch past videos, etc., etc. The other announcement I have is just sort of a reminder that we will be on a stream break, meaning no Odia or Adiona, no Ophion, no Arcadia, no even Wrath and Glory, from the 28th until about September 8th. And again, the reason for that is because I will be in Seattle for PAX West. Can't exactly run a streamed game when my laptop can barely handle PDF readers at some time. So again, we will be on a break from August 28th until about September 8th. And, you know, I'll try to be running a few back-to-back games for a few of these Star Trek games to sort of catch us up. But just so you know, it's not like I'm abandoning you people. I just literally am unable to stream because of tech issues.
Run this from a laptop, you monster. That
Yeah,
poor thing.
I have tried streaming from a laptop before, and it just was no bueno. But yeah, I think that's it for announcements. So why don't we go ahead and get started. This week, Morgan, our illustrious XO, has the opening log. So Morgan, if you would take it away.
Wonderful. Be glad to. First officer's log, start at 58142.5. A few weeks have passed since the incident at the Frilatoth neutral zone, and it appears our first real trial is over. Since that time, we have remanded the Toth saboteur to the custody of the authorities on Frill Prime, where they will most assuredly continue to investigate the matter. We received thanks from Consulate General Samsia, who took it upon herself to thank the crew of the Adiona for the rescue of the Yosidi. Additionally, she requested that we stay within QSD jump range in case of Toth retaliation. While I extended the regard of the crew, I politely reminded the Consulate General that we wish to keep our involvement with their dispute to a non-violent and potentially diplomatic channels. Nonetheless, I'm forced to admit that after the neutral zone, we are involved. Time will tell what our presence may have wrought. We've set course away from Frill Prime and into unclaimed space. This has given the Adonia newfound time, and the crew has taken quickly to its availability. I've taken the steps to check in with the individual department heads and continue learning about the dynamics of those I serve with. I've quickly learned that what loiters on Deck 4 comes to me regardless of my day-to-day plans. I've additionally completed preliminary phase of piloting simulations with Lieutenant Zava, and I'm eager to see how the rest of the fighter pilots will perform. Although Starfleet sent me here as a diplomat, the safety of the crew is my responsibility, and I will ensure that they will have teeth. At least a teethy smile.
Sorry, had one of those sneaky planes that comes out of nowhere. All right, very good. So, as Morgan has said in his log, we are a few weeks after the initial sort of excitement at the neutral zone. And let me put you on this map so you can kind of see where you are. You are down here, which if you zoom out a little bit, you'll see that you are indeed outside of Frilo Republic space at the moment. You are still within QSD range. I believe if I have it right, you are a 5-minute QSD jump away from Frill Prime. So, you know, keep that in mind. It may or may not come up. Who knows? But other than that, you know, you guys have had free time. You know, you're cataloging the space as you go. You're just sort of interacting with one another. And of course, before we get into the bulk of today's adventure, as always, I'd like to, you know, open the floor if anyone has any particular scenes, particular questions, things of that nature. So kind of an open floor. Anyone have anything?
Well, should it be needed, the captain's just working in his office doing his paperwork.
Okay.
I'd like to continue some experimentation on the neutronium with Havoc.
Okay.
Experimentation? I'm up for that.
Sure. Do you want to do this in engineering, or you want to do this in your lab?
Well, if we're doing an experiment, we need goggles in a lab.
Yeah,
Alright.
somewhere where we have a force field.
Yeah, you better wear your PPE.
There we go. Alright, there we go. All the way to the lab. Let me adjust some tokens here, and there you go.
I've made enough explosions in a lab to know you definitely need those coats and those goggles.
Oh dear, don't get me started about my chemistry stories. Anyway, so yeah, Merrick and Havoc, you guys are currently working on, we'll say, experiment 9-alpha, and the experiment result is something I'll let you guys define.
Well, the first thing I wanted to observe, since it's been a couple weeks, is the neutronium that we applied the radiation to, has it dissipated the energy in it at all or decayed?
I would say, based on your observation, it seems to have absorbed the radiation, and it's weird because usually, you absorb information, or not information, you absorb energy or radiation or really particles of anything, and you typically increase mass by some point or you store a charge. You're not seeing any of that with the neutronium. It's almost like I'm hesitant to call it like a black hole where you just sort of throw things in and you never see them again, but it's probably the closest example I can think of.
But we observed that it had a charge that could have been released.
Yes, that is correct. So it's kind of an interesting mystery here.
Now, it still retains a charge that could be released even 2 weeks later.
Correct.
Interesting. Any thoughts, Commander?
I just look at the neutronium very, very warily and look at you and say, this is either something beyond anything I've seen, or we're possibly just looking at black magic.
Now, I explained to Havoc, Commander, the subspace bubble when we first entered the Andromeda Galaxy with all the doomsday devices and where we picked up the neutronium, that bubble, what makes it exist? Is it the fact that the neutronium there has absorbed a whole lot of energy and has created a null void? So I'd like to try to investigate that experimentally here.
I nod and state, that would be interesting, but are you sure you want to... How do I put this in ways that a Vulcan will understand? Is it logical to experiments with something that could possibly, well, create a null zone?
Yeah,
like over there.
I agree. That's why I also think we may have to take this off the ship, maybe to some planetary body or just some point in space.
I don't think we should put this on a planet just in case. Maybe somewhere deep in space.
It could be an asteroid or something like this.
Astro would probably be the best. I don't want to be known for the woman who accidentally destroyed a planet by trying to figure out how neutronium worked.
Well, at this stage, I believe we should just plan it out and then perhaps execute it once we are more confident. Maybe run some simulations, to the best of our ability. But I've explained my theory right now, and I'd like to pursue it with you, in time.
Well, we're in the same damn room every single night, so we can talk about it then. I have to make sure that this ship keeps running, but during my off time, I might come up here and help you out.
Okay. That's all I had, Game Master, for this portion.
Okay. Anyone else? Alrighty then. We will cut to the bridge and we will start today's adventure. All the way to the bridge. Alright, let me just adjust a few things, get the captain back on here. Alright, there we go. It's fixed for the stream. Find where I put the captain's token. There you go. Morgan, you're back here. Williams, you're here. And, yeah, we'll say Iha is indeed just kind of sitting here on the bridge and offering information every once in a while. But, you all are, going about your business on the bridge. This is probably about halfway through Alpha Shift. And, Captain, your chair just sort of beeps at you.
I'll acknowledge it and find out what the alert is.
It is a text-only message from Astrometrics. And the lieutenant on duty is reporting that they have detected the remnants of a supernova. More specifically, a neutron star about 20 years old. They are requesting that we, the Adiona, divert to check it out, if only because of how recently formed this neutron star is. There could be a cornucopia of information that you could potentially gather from this celestial event.
Yeah, I'll turn to Iha. It's like, Iha, you mind give me a long-range scan on these coordinates I'm going to send to your console?
Certainly. I believe Lieutenant Merrick, if you could assist me, please. And, yeah, Merrick, if you want to roll me a Reason Science, assisted by the ship's Sensor Science, including the Adiona's advanced sensors, this will be at a difficulty of 2.
I'm assisting, though, correct?
Well, you can either assist Iha or she can assist you.
Might be better the other way around. She can assist me.
Okay. I'll do Iha's roll.
Main reason I'm asking her is to see if this matches up with anything she may have seen already from the Frillis side of science.
No, I gotcha. Let's see. So she's rolling that. She's only 1 assisting. She does have a focus. Alright, so we just need to see the ship.
Mayweather can do that?
Oh, did we lose Mayweather?
Roll20 said it lost my connection. I'm just clicking to make sure I'm back on it.
Ah, gotcha.
I'll do it real quick.
Okay. Yeah, sensor science from the ship. Alright, so 2 momentum, whoever's keeping track of that this time. Alright, so long-range scans yield some of the following information, and remember, you can ask additional questions. You're getting a basic readout of the neutron star, and the first couple bits of information I'll throw at you is that this particular neutron star is approximately 10 kilometers in diameter, so it's a small neutron star, and the mass it contains is about 3 times that of Earth's own Sol. So it's probably not a far stretch of the imagination or science, really, to gather that if the star, the original star that went supernova, had it been any larger than it was, then this could have very well been a black hole instead.
Okay, I understand. I'm thinking about it.
All right. So while you're thinking about it, Iha sort of looks at the data and says, yes, Captain, we are vaguely aware that this neutron star is here. We've never really studied it. We did detect the shock wave from the supernova about 20 years ago, and didn't really have much of an effect on the surrounding space, so we've just sort of cataloged it as a, if we're in the area, get a look at it, but other than that, just kind of, it's there.
Interesting.
So it's basically an astronomical possibility. There's nothing that unusual about it, correct?
So far, I am going to whisper Morgan something on Discord
Okay.
that he may
I
know.
do. Okay. I may have a question, once that's done.
Well, go ahead and ask your question while we wait for Morgan to take that in.
Well, since this galaxy has its Andromeda radiation permeating the whole area,
Mm-hmm.
could that have been an influence on this process as well?
I would say there's not enough data to make any conclusions, especially at this range. You would definitely have to get closer to sort of try and gather such information.
Okay.
Taken in, and I suppose this is where I pipe up.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to, in general, I say to the bridge, I would like to say that neutron stars are absolutely infamous for their ability to affect time. Time dilation effects are often seen in the surrounding space, which is why it's so important to at least stellar cartographers to chart them, and why we have to be careful.
Due to their gravimetric properties?
Both to their gravimetric properties and their time dilation effects.
Is
Time dilation.
is GM, is that related to chronoton emissions?
No. This is purely relativity in play. You get near a high enough mass and you start to move away from it at a certain speed and you quote unquote time travel.
Yep.
It's essentially the same principle that they used in Star Trek 4 with the whales, where they slingshot around the sun. Same kind of idea.
Yeah, it just has a very high gradient of gravimetric influence.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, astrometrics. This is the bridge. How close are you looking to get?
The lieutenant on duty, who will remain nameless because I feel like you guys are going to make one anyway. The lieutenant says, we don't need to get too close, sir, just barely within its gravitational effect. We should be okay, though. As long as we have full impulse speed, we can pull away from the thing, no problem.
I should be able to scan for the gravimetric waves and keep us at a safe distance, correct?
That is the hope, yes.
I tried to do so as we approach it, if we are approaching it.
Alrighty. This is a science ship. Let's keep the nerds a little bit happy. Alrighty, go ahead and set a course. Keep us as far away from this thing as possible. I'm really not looking forward to any relativity issues this morning.
Alrighty. So, Mayweather presumably sets in the course, and you all start heading in that direction. And unless anyone has anything they'd like to interject, we'll skip ahead a couple hours. And
I do have one. I'd like to make sure Havoc's aware of where we're going as far as high gravity fields.
Okay.
Prepare for reaction.
All right. So Havoc is now in the loop. All right. So eventually, you guys reach the edge of the neutron star, and it's actually not as bad as you might have been expecting. It sort of just has I would call it a ring. I really hesitate to call it a ring, but sort of a ring around it that represents the gravitational pull. And as long as you skirt that edge, you don't have to worry about any gravitational effects. But it also is now close enough that you can scan and get more additional data. So, Merrick, I know you wanted to specifically catalog something about the radiation, yeah?
Yeah, if there's an influence here.
I would say this is going to be let's call it an insight plus science, and we'll make it a difficulty 2.
Okay.
Meanwhile, I'll call down. Astrometrics is the bridge. We're here. Go nuts.
Understood, sir.
Make sure you guys share all the power, though. Don't start sucking the power from each other. I think I got like 2 or 3 labs all trying to run scans.
Oh, not to worry, sir. We already got the lecture from Havoc.
Put a note down. Good job for Havoc for predicting what I was going to tell the teams.
I'm ready to go, but is the ship assisting?
No, this is purely you looking at the data.
Okay, then I would like to spend 1 momentum.
Okay. So you guys are down to 1. Is anyone keeping track of that this go around?
Yeah, I don't see a button here to add or remove it. We just drag these
remember,
things
we
in from
use
somewhere.
the deck, the momentum deck there on the right-hand side of the screen. It's
Yeah, I
basically
just see
cards.
draw. I didn't see anything to add to it.
Yeah, so you got to draw however many momentum you have, and then when you're getting rid of momentum, you click the deck. Like you'll get a little icon on top of your name and roll 20. You'll click that icon, drag one of those icons onto the screen, and delete it, and that's how we keep track of momentum.
Oh, okay. So I thought, okay, I got you. All right.
Yeah, it's a visual thing that once you do it a couple times, you get used to it. But yeah.
All right. So let's see. We got what, 3 from the first roll?
You have 1 at the moment after Merrick is spending the 1.
Oh, he's using 1. Okay.
And I just made my roll.
Okay. So yeah, actually you get that momentum right back. All right. So, Merrick, you're looking at it, and a couple things stick out to you. The first being that, much like a black hole, the neutron star obviously has such a immense gravitational well that it does affect light speed in the area. By that I mean it is... I don't want to say this.
Relativity is in play for sure.
Well, right, but specifically in regards to your radiation, I would say it's not absorbing radiation, but it is collecting it at a perhaps more advanced rate than other gravitational bodies might.
Okay, that's very interesting. My follow-up question is that neutronium is... The source of neutronium is a neutron star.
Mm-hmm.
So I explained this to the captain. Captain, please remember that neutronium, the source of neutronium is a neutronium star, and sensors indicate that this particular body here is absorbing a lot of radiation.
All right, we're not seeing anything as far as space-time or anything being interrupted. This thing like dumping radiation to another dimensional state or anything else like that that we can't detect.
It would have properties, perhaps, of a black hole.
All right, the probes are at your disposal.
Very good. I ready a probe.
Okay.
Try to send it right in. Make sure it's reinforced for the gravity.
Okay. If I remember probes properly, it basically reduces your sensor scan difficulty by 1. And we'll just have to keep that in mind moving forward. So you're at a total of -2 overall.
Okay, and I think we're going to be concentrating on time dilation and perhaps where this energy is, can it be measured in some way, like
Okay.
we've been measuring our little experiments in the science lab.
Okay. All right, so, launch off a probe, begin to get data back, and I'm going to say Zava is going to be the one who picks this up first.
Yeah, go ahead.
She kind of looks at her console and says, Commander Morgan, are you seeing this too? And she highlights a bit of data on your readout, Morgan, which looks like there's some sort of transmission being broadcasted from the opposite side of the neutron star from where you are.
I'm reading it, Lieutenant, and I find it as strange as you do. Can we get a lock into this transmission? See if we could boost the signal.
Doing my best now, sir. And with your permission, Captain.
I give permission.
All right, she puts it on the main viewer, and anyone who's old as hell, if you remember VHS, like the good old days when VHS would be garbled, or you try to watch cable TV with just an antenna. You know,
Yeah,
very
change the tracking on that for me, would you, Aya?
yeah. So you know, IHA, Zava, they all kind of work together, and it's just the transmission is not being cleared up. Like the obvious, or not the obvious, the problem, as Zava reports, is, sir, I don't think it's anything we can do at this point. The problem is at the source. I mean, we've done all we can to clean it up, but as you can see, and you know, it's still just kind of wavy lines and static and garbled noise, etc.
Can we, well, maybe it's best that we try to attempt to communicate with them too. Possibly send out a hail.
I would be happy to do so.
Is the transmission, can we understand it in some degree? What's the word I'm looking for? Is it still audible? You know what I mean?
Oh,
Or is it
no. It is
highly distorted?
highly distorted, yeah.
Okay, so Lieutenant Zava, perhaps there's a time dilation occurring in the message?
I did compensate for that for a little bit, but Commander Morgan, I understand you have some focus in temporal mechanics?
I took a tech class or two at the academy, yes.
Do you have any insight what we might be able to do here?
Morgan thinks to himself for a moment. Well, the first thing that you learn about the potential of temporal mechanics is that you never want to mess with temporal mechanics. However, considering that there's time dilation effects at play,
Is there a chance of figuring out what kind of a signature we're getting off of this transmission? Is there anything in the data?
I would say that would have to be a roll. It would depend on who's doing the roll, though. Like, for example, if Merrick does a roll, it's going to be one thing. If Morgan does the roll, it's another. If Zava does it, etc., etc.
Yeah, so I need my best communications person on it.
oh man, I just cut out there for a second.
Yeah, I was going to say you did
sorry.
kind of drop off mid-sentence.
My bad.
All right, I need my best communications guy on this. We need to figure out if there's a ship ID or something on here.
Yeah, so Morgan, since you were talking about time dilation, why don't we have you do it? Because I feel like you're going to have the better focus than Zava. So if you want to roll me a... We'll call it a insight plus science here as well, or maybe an insight engineering. I'll let either apply. And your temporal mechanics will be an applicable focus. The difficulty here will be a 3.
Sure.
So you may want to spend momentum, you may not. Who knows?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and spend one momentum.
Okay. So, Captain, what you're going to want to do is you want to click the 2 icon above your sheet, or above your name. You'll get a kind of a pop-up window with 2 icons in it. Just drag one of the icons onto the map, and then delete it, and there you go.
If it gives me the option.
Oh, no, you literally have to push the delete button on your keyboard. There you go.
Lovely.
All right. So, wow, Morgan gets the 3 he needs. So, you're looking at the transmission. You're using what you know about temporal mechanics and relativity to see if you need to speed up the transmission, slow it down. Things that would be in effect due to the gravitational effects. And while you're not able to undistort, that's a word, remove the distortion of the message, you are able to determine a very important fact. And that is that this is a Federation signal.
What I was going to ask before I cut out is that I wanted to scan the area for sensors for the possibility of sensor echoes.
I would say we'll roll it onto the roll you just did. You are not detecting any sensor echoes.
I hate temporal. The back of my neck is itching.
Well,
Temporal
Captain.
anomalies. What could go wrong?
Absolutely nothing. Nothing of the sort. And I'm getting away. I informed the captain that it seems like there is a Federation signature.
All right. Do we have an approximate position?
You do. And the position is quite literally on the opposite side of the neutron star from where you are right now.
If there is a temporal distortion or a time influence, could this be a message from the past or even possibly the future, Commander?
Yep, that is the rule.
At least at this time, I don't necessarily think I'm able to determine that.
Helm, back us off about 1/10 of a light year.
Hey, sir. I have a question for the GM.
Sure.
The con discipline covers like ship frequencies, knowing about ships, and that kind of stuff, right?
It does, yes.
Is there a way I can make possibly an insight con roll to see if I recognize it, if this is either our, frequency, or now I can't remember the first ship.
The Lysithia?
Yeah, if it's one of theirs by process of elimination.
I'll let it happen. Let's make this an Insight Con difficulty 2.
I don't suppose astronavigation or helm operation is going to help me here.
Unfortunately not.
Can we assist?
I'm gonna say this is Mayweather applying his knowledge, so I'm gonna say no.
It's intuition, right?
Yeah, this is purely his intuition and knowledge at play here. Did we lose Mayweather?
Come in.
No, roll
Mayweather.
20's just lagging for me. It's going to be a second. I'm clicking the buttons.
Nah, no worries. Do you want me to just roll for you, or up to you, really? Oop, hold on.
I'm almost there.
I love how, the whole day they weren't doing any ops whatsoever, but the moment I have a game, they just start buzzing my house. Anyway, yes, Mayweather, with 2 successes, you are able to determine that this is a Type 9 shuttlecraft distress signal.
Sir, it's a Type 9 shuttlecraft. Federation, we can limit it by scanning for just that or their frequencies range.
Good. It's not us. That's the one thing that was making the back of my neck stand up. All right,
We-
let's try to plot a course and go around this star.
Captain,
Sir, it could be us if something happens and we launch our Type 9
Shush!
shuttle.
Shush! There will be no talk of that.
are there Type 9s on Lysithia?
Yes, there would have been Type 9s on the Lysithia, yes.
Alrighty. Well, we know that that exact transmission isn't us, so I feel better getting closer to this thing. I still want to go cautiously, though.
I have a
So,
suggestion,
Mayweather,
sir.
go ahead and plot a course. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We know what our registry number and I can't remember what they're called, the black box of our Type 9 shuttle is. We can ping that, send out a signal if we get echo back, then we know it's possibly ours from time dilation.
That is a good idea, Lieutenant, but perhaps the message would not arrive in the time space that you're thinking of, since time distortion is key here.
Nevertheless, go ahead and transmit it anyway. The more breadcrumbs we leave, the better.
Well,
Lieutenant Merrick, I fly the ship, you do the science, so you figure out how to undistort it.
I think Morgan had something to add.
absolutely, well, a little bit. In the same vein, at least when it comes to compensating for the time dilation, I think I might necessarily be in a place to assist.
Oh yeah, I would agree.
Can we compensate for time?
You can certainly try.
Right now, I don't have a frame of reference as if it's from past or future. Can I determine that?
No, you would definitely have to get closer to determine that much.
Okay, so I explain that to the crew here. Perhaps we can make sense of this time distortion as we get closer and get more detailed scans, Captain.
All right, that's fine. Hey, XO, I'm going to let you take the head on this since you're better with this stuff than I am.
Oh, well, thanks, Captain.
Hey, no problem. That's what I'm here for.
I'm sure and
Why
nothing
do
will
I
go
feel
wrong.
a grandfather paradox headache coming on?
Add a character, man, my nerves are so... this is literally blade of grass in the desert. You don't get close, you just run.
Oh dear. Alright, so I do have to ask the very important question. Are you guys going to go around the star and then do the sensor ping and scan, or are you going to stay where you are and try to do it across the neutron star? Because if you do it across the neutron star, it is at a significantly higher difficulty.
Yeah, I figured the neutron star might absorb the sensor readings or something else like that.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't we? Is there a possibility that we can move around the neutron star and continue and ping it at different points?
Yeah, you certainly can. I just need to know that that's what you're going with.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking about.
Okay.
Quick question. What would it take for us to make like a short range buoy for this kind of stuff?
What would the purpose of the buoy be, just so I know from a narrative and mechanics sense?
Breadcrumbs and X, Y, and Z coordinates.
I think I like his idea. I think basically if we put a buoy here and we know its time frame as we move around, we might be able to get a measure of the distortion.
At least keep tabs on our position as it gets affected, if anything gets affected. If everything stays right where there is, we just wasted a few resources. We can reharvest them if we need to. But if we do get somewhat turned around, we might have an extra piece of sensor data to work with to figure ourselves out.
I got it. Okay, yeah, you can certainly launch a navigational buoy. I think I'm just going to treat it like a probe where it's launched and it doesn't really do anything mechanics-wise, but fluff-wise, it's
basically a probe that sits at station keeping, and if we drop 3, we can triangulate no matter where we go. So hopefully we can drop them as we go, and we can keep track of our sensors in relation to that if our stuff goes weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a chronometer for us.
Yep. All right. So,
sorry, Exo. I meant to give the boat to you, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, by all means, I mean, it is a good idea to at least use it as like a time-space beacon.
I'm sure you would have thought of it. I'm just stepping on your toes. My bad.
It's fine. All right. So, you launch the buoy, and my understanding is you begin to move around the neutron star towards the opposite side. And let's do a scan. So whichever one of you wants to take the lead on this. Yes?
I'll let Commander Morgan do it since he's more aware of temporal mechanics.
Okay. This is going to be a reason plus... How do I want to do this? Let's do a reason plus command. And the reason I'm saying command is because you're specifically trying to get a ping back on a certain frequency or a certain... I guess, command frequency. Basically you're checking to see if this is your own shuttle type deal. And I think that would be better fit under command, but if you have an argument otherwise, I'd will perfectly entertain it. So that would be a reason command for you, Morgan. The ship will be assisting with comms and command. And I'm going to say that the ship is the only one that can assist you on this.
Okay. And the difficulty?
We'll make the difficulty here a 2.
Sure.
All right. Well, there's one from you.
I got the ship ready.
All right. Yay, 2 successes. That's all you need. So, Morgan, as you get closer and closer, the signal does get a little bit clearer the closer you get. And I would say if I were to draw a circle here, I originally was going to do a map for this, but I didn't think we'd use it a whole lot. So if you want to imagine that this orange circle here is the neutron star, and we'll say that this green X is where the signal is coming from. You guys coming from the opposite side, we'll say we'll go over top. You'll get to about here, where the blue X is, and that's when you'll get a positive lock on the signal that is being transmitted back to you. And sure enough, it is your own Type 9 shuttle that is sitting out there in space.
No.
Did we
No,
lose?
no, no.
Did we lose contact with the buoy?
Nope, you're still getting contact with the buoy. I'd say again, because it is across the neutron star. Well, I probably shouldn't have erased what I had. Let me redraw that. So there's the neutron star. We'll say this time the green X is your original buoy. And we'll say the light blue here is another buoy you launched. And this pink X is where you are now. So the pink X, obviously to get to the green X, you're having to go across the neutron star. So the first buoy, there is some dilation involved. But to the second buoy, the bluish one, you're reading just fine. It does not appear to have shifted in time frame at any point.
But the closer all of this would be to the neutron star, we would expect a lot more distortion.
Correct, and that was probably something I should have clarified, is that the shuttlecraft that's out there is near the edge of the gravitational effect, but now that you are closer, you are seeing that it is slowly falling towards the neutron star.
All right, can we get close enough to tractor it?
I would say yes. However, I would like Merrick at this point, if you could roll me a reason science, and the ship will assist with sensor science. The difficulty here is a 0 because of probes and advanced sensors, so this is purely a momentum gainer for you.
While Merrick's making that roll, I'd like to confirm at least that because I don't recall ever authorizing, obviously, any shuttlecraft, that our Type 9 shuttlecraft is still on our ship.
Well, good news. It is indeed still on your ship. It is sitting in the shuttle bay where it is supposed to be.
That's 2 more momentum, right?
Yep. Might also get some from the ship.
What'd you want from the ship?
Sensor science. Alright, so just the 2. So, Merrick, you're going to learn some very important facts here. The first is that a metallurgical analysis from this distance is, I would say, about 60% inconclusive, but what you are determining very quickly is that this shuttle has been in space for a very long time. And by that I mean it is not, a radiation hazard, but it does seem to have more radiation attached to its hull than you do. And the power source, the onboard sort of reactor, is nearly running on empty, which again suggests that it has been running in space for a very long time. But probably the most important bit of information is that you are detecting movement about the shuttle, but you're not detecting any life signs.
Captain Commander, the shuttle is showing extreme age, and the power aboard is nearly depleted, but yet sensors are picking up not life signs, but movement within the shuttle.
I'm going to turn to Captain Morgan and talk to him over his shoulder for a moment. It's like, Morgan, I do want to pull this thing in, but I'm thinking about just leaving it outside and maybe taking remote control and have it just clamped to the edge of the hull so we can inspect it without bringing it on board. What do you think?
I think that's a decent idea. However, if we're truly going to determine exactly what happened, we're probably going to need a close scan. If you want to keep it to the hull, and you want to attach it to the hull, we could probably necessarily use the ship systems or the fighter system to perform a scan. In any case, I would like to send a team down to the hangar bay, both science and engineering teams with tricorders, to analyze our current shuttle to look for discrepancies.
That's fine, but I'm thinking about actually putting a team on that thing outside once we have it secured.
GM, is there damage to the shuttlecraft, either by combat or just the effect of the neutron star?
I would say that there's some signs of micrometeor impact, basically a ship traveling through space without deflector. But you're not detecting, we'll say, any phaser scarring. You're not seeing any disruptor fire on it. It just seems that this shuttle has been in space for quite a while.
Well, I turn back to the captain and I say, if we don't necessarily get any small residual bits of temporal radiation, I think we're okay to send an away team aboard.
All right, I'll turn. Zava, can you interface with that shuttle's remote control systems?
I certainly can try, sir. Where would you like me to take it?
To the belly. I don't want this thing inside quite yet. See if you can get the landing gear's magnetic locks to engage.
I'll see what I can do, sir. And if someone would roll for Zava, I'm going to say that this is going to be on her part. Again, she is interfacing with a remote shuttlecraft. Let's see. Let's do definitely a control. Let's make it a con. Let's make it a control con for her. And the Adiona will assist with a comms con. And the overall difficulty will be a 3. And it's a 3 because of the advanced age of the shuttle, and it doesn't exactly have a whole lot of juice left.
Feel free to use momentum if you need it.
Yeah, you guys do have 4 momentum at the moment if you want to use it. But who is rolling for Lieutenant Zava?
I can roll for Zava.
Alrighty. Again, that is going to be a control con on her part.
I'm sorry, and the difficulty?
The difficulty is a 3, but you are being assisted by the ship, so you may or may not want to spend a momentum.
Well, we have 4, so let's burn some.
Okay. How much you spending?
Let's burn 1.
Okay. So 1 for 1 additional dice.
Nope, that's 1. So we get that moment. Did you burn a momentum or no?
Yes.
Yes, but you get that right back. So yeah.
Cool. Don't have to adjust nothing. Cool.
Nice. All right, so sure enough, Zava is able to sort of coax the shuttle to get a little bit closer to you, and it's quite literally just in time as the maglock enables and sort of anchors it to the hull of the Adiona, or at least keeps it at station keeping, however you want to flavor it. The remaining power of the shuttle cuts out completely, and it is now essentially only keeping with the Adiona because of the maglock. And can't exactly turn magnets off very well. So yeah, it is pretty much just dead weight that's just sort of sitting right off your hull. And what do you guys want to do with it, I guess is the question.
I guess time to lay out some standard orders. So I'll say, Merrick, on top of what we're doing, just keep the sensors active in case anybody approaches us. We kind of got some extra weight on our ship, so we want as much of a insight as we can. Call down to the dock and the engineering team. Tell them to put on some EVA gear and their PPE because we're going to be inspecting a shuttle. Just have the dock monitor their situation for an EVA.
Alrighty. So I guess the question... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, if it's okay with you, Captain, I'd also like Helmsman Mayweather to assist the away team.
I have no problems with that.
All right, so let's see. So Mayweather's on the away team. Who else is on the away team?
I think I'd be going on this one.
All right, Morgan's on the away team.
You said you want engineering, right?
Make sure you got your EVA suits all nice and warmed up and pressed.
All right, that means I'm on this.
Okay, Havoc's going. Anyone else? No. All right.
Nope, Captain supervising this time.
Okay. Well, probably a good thing too. It's a Type 9 shuttle, so there isn't a whole lot of room on this thing. But let me adjust a few things so I find where the map is. Alrighty. And we're all set. Alright, so Mayweather, Morgan, and Havoc, kind of to flavor how you guys get out there. You don your EVA suits, you gather your gear together, and I'm going to say rather than transport out, because you are still within the gravitational effect of the neutron star, you decide to basically walk out there yourself. So you go to one of the, not airlocks, but one of the external access points. And
for GM to clarify, where I was ideally wanting to happen was for Zava to anchor the shuttle on the underside of the hull, outside of one of the main doors. So that way, all they literally have to do is put their feet on the hull and walk around.
Oh, I see. I was imagining like literally on the belly of like right below the deflector. Okay. So
yeah. So right near the cargo, right near the exit door for the main hangar, so they don't have to walk that far to get to the other shuttle.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying. I was imagining something completely different. All right, so small modification. You do pretty much what the captain has just said. All you have to do is depressurize the bay and sort of just do a very brief hop and a skip and a jump, and you are now on the sort of back edge of this shuttlecraft. And I can put you all on this map. So at the moment, we'll say it takes you, between the three of you, it takes you maybe 30 seconds to a minute to get in, to manually force the door open. And yeah, on the inside, you are seeing just darkness. Just pure pitch black darkness.
Well, the first thing that I'm going to say is just tricorders out. Because I recall there being mentions of possible movement on board the shuttle. So
GM, is that a scene change?
My helmet lamp first.
Okay.
Of course.
Yes, that is a scene change, by the way.
Lights on, tricorders out.
Okay. So, you give the shuttlecraft a once-over with your tricorders and a visual inspection, and we'll say Havoc is the first to notice this. Havoc, kind of in this little space to the left, like right above where Morgan is, there's that sort of bulkhead that extends a little bit into the way. Right behind that bulkhead on the floor is an armband that looks very similar to Galen's.
I immediately approach cautiously towards it, very cautiously, and basically try to get a better view of what's in the more cockpit area.
Okay.
I go near the band, but I'm definitely trying to keep myself at a safe position, basically.
So now you move up to here.
I'm an engineer. I may be good with a hammer, but I'm not good with a gun.
Fair enough. So yeah, you step inside the cockpit proper. You give a visual and sensor inspection, and yeah, you're not seeing any Talarian hook spiders waiting to jump at you. You're not seeing any Caledonian drop bears, so everything seems fine. You've just got what might be a holographic projecting armband on the floor.
Mayweather, Morgan, I think we found our medic. I point at the armband. If I remember correctly, the hologram is the medic, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Well, is there any way that we can reactivate him?
Could it be possible that I actually use a bit of my... Because would I be actually able to use some of my own board game plants, just siphon a bit of power off of them to jumpstart it?
Possibly, but I think the important question is, have you actually picked it up and tried to interface with it yet?
Not yet. I'm the engineer, so I'm actually gonna try doing that.
Okay.
I'm gonna just cautiously reach down and poke it.
Alright, so the moment you poke it, a hologram comes to life. And it is quite literally the token you're seeing. And it looks nothing like Galen. This is a completely new hologram. And I'm going to do a voice. It's a horrible voice, but I have fun with it.
Zardos.
And
Zardos.
The gentleman that appears just kind of looks around and says, "Well, hello there. Who might you be?"
Lieutenant Commander Havoc.
Ah.
I specifically do not give him my real name.
And what about those two?
That is Commander M and Lieutenant Y.
I see. That one reminds me of Commander Morgan.
Yes. Tell me, what is your name?
My name is Lieutenant Conray. Just Conray, please.
How do you know the Commander, Morgan?
And he kind of scratches his head and looks like he's thinking and says, I'm not quite sure. There's something very important I need to tell all of you, but I can't remember what.
Well, Commander M, may I attempt to interface further with the hologram? Commander M is Morgan.
Of course. I'd like you to necessarily check his band first to necessarily see if you were going to interface with it, if it could provide, we don't want this thing to do unintentional damage to you. So I want you to double check it first and then go ahead and interface with it.
I give him a slight smile and say, "You understand I'm called Havoc for a reason, but all right, let's do this." I immediately motion for him to allow me to start checking over his band for anything.
Yeah, and he holds it up, and I guess my question is, are you going to do a tactile inspection, hands-on, or are you going to go via tricorder?
I'm going to try tactile on this one. Hands-on, okay. see what's working on it.
In that case, roll me a Reason Engineering difficulty 2. No, let's make it a 3. And let me see if you've got a focus here that I can help you with here.
I have. I think. Would this be an old, projector or no?
No. Yeah, unfortunately, none of your focuses would apply here.
So may I burn one momentum to try and increase my odds by a large margin? Anyone fine with that?
I mean, yeah,
I'm okay with it.
That's what momentum's there for.
So I'll be rolling 3d20 with no focus.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone want to try and assist?
I'll try assisting.
Okay. Morgan, we'll say obviously you can't both be on the, we can't, you can't basically be wrestling with the band. So we'll say you're going via
Right.
tricorder, and your role will also be a reason engineering. But I will
Well, I
say
actually need it.
with you, one of your focuses will apply. Not that you need it because Havoc gets it, but hey, maybe you'll get more momentum.
Getting momentum back is always nice.
Hey, look at that. You get the momentum back. Momentum has stayed constant throughout this game. All right. So
We know how useful that stuff is. We want a lot of it.
yeah. So while Mayweather is downloading the navigational records, or attempting to anyway, both Havoc and Morgan, you guys work at the band and try to get information off of it. And you're going to pick up some very important information here. And again, remember, you can spend momentum to ask more questions. The first thing is that, Morgan, you are detecting that there is a transient chronoton residue on the band, which does confirm what you might have been suspecting, that this band has traveled through time, and likely the shuttle itself has as well. The second thing that you're realizing is that this hologram, this Lieutenant Conray, he is we'll call him a emergency science officer, but it would have been one of the programs that is on the Adiona. It is some, a hologram you could spin up at any time. However, his matrix is in a state of rapid decay, and it will need some significant work if you want to pull any meaningful data out of him.
I see.
Could I attempt something a little risky?
What would the risky thing be?
If I remember correctly, you did mention that Freeboard can attempt to basically download a hologram into themselves. Would it be possible that I transfer his information from that into being basically have him in storage?
I would say it is certainly possible, but
highly dangerous.
I will preface that by saying you don't necessarily know the effects of letting a possibly on the fritz hologram to essentially take over your body, because if you remember the Voyager episode, the Doctor was in full control of Seven of Nine's body. You don't know if that's going to be the case here, but it is a possibility.
Yeah, the way I was thinking of doing it is basically putting him in a offline, download him, but immediately putting him offline right when he's in there. So he's in there, just not active.
Well, I think his program's still going to be active.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a problem. Would I be able to attempt to start fixing?
I would say no. You would either have to take him to main engineering or to the holodeck to do a comprehensive sort of repair operation on him. But if you wanted to try it right here on the shuttle, then it would be at a higher difficulty.
How fast is the degradation?
I would say you've maybe got another hour before you start to lose data. So you're going to want to get on this pretty quickly.
Commander Morgan, may I drag this man hologram to my to the engineering to fix him up and keep him away from... I give him a slight nod to try and get across the that we don't want two holograms seeing each other.
So to be clear, out of character,
Mm-hmm.
you're just asking to fix him. You don't want to. You don't want to like put him in fix. Alright, it's fix in quotes. Okay.
Basically, I'm going to try and fix him, but if I cannot fix him, we may have to go for option 2, which then I will immediately ask for someone to restrain me as much as possible.
I think at that point we should get medical officers involved. But sure, I will give authorization to attempt option number 1. But before you do so, since our illustrious old age science hologram did call out to me, I would like to ask him what's the last thing he does remember.
He looks like he's thinking again and says, I remember something about the Adiona. Something very important. But, again, it's been so long, I don't really recall.
Don't worry, my good sir. You're in very good hands.
I wish I could say the same, because I don't believe we've necessarily been introduced at this point. But I'll assure you we'll get to the bottom of this.
Right, shall I follow you then? And he motions at Havoc.
I may I ask you to deactivate yourself as I transfer over to the engineering deck to have you repaired. Very simply, there may be some complications if you are seen as this interaction does not want to go on the books.
No, I have no qualms with that. Please, do whatever you need to do.
Thank you very much.
And, I guess at this point, hologram deactivates and the band sort of falls right back to the deck.
Well, I catch it before it falls to the deck because we don't want technology smacking around when it's really old.
Fair enough.
So I nod at Morgan, I nod at Mayweather and say, okay, we're rushing this guy to engineering. Stat, I want you to make sure that you two, me, and only 2 other people, well, basically no one else from engineering gets to see this. We need to make sure that he is not seen by anyone. Temporal crap can lead to, well, you know.
Well, I understand the temporal prime directive is first and foremost, but at this point, we can't second guess ourselves.
Yeah. Simply inform the captain that we are dealing with a temporal anomaly that pertains to us, and that it is very dangerous if we had let on any more information until we have fully repaired the hologram.
Before we leave the shuttle, has Mayweather been able to gather the navigational records?
Unfortunately not. If you remember, I did say that the onboard power systems have been completely drained. So it's kind of like going up to a device, whatever device you would like to imagine, that has dead batteries. You would have to either drag a power cell over to this thing to temporarily get systems back online, or you would have to set up some sort of a power transfer between the Adiona and this shuttle.
Well, at this point, I'd say that at least repairing the hologram takes first and foremost presence. So I'd order Havoc to return to the Adiona, but I will get a small engineering crew of 2 to come back over to this ship since if our tricorders aren't necessarily reading any other analogous readings, then I think it's fine if we get the 2 other people to at least power up the shuttle, because they don't necessarily know about anything else that's happening here. But I would like to remind Mayweather that at least as soon as the shuttle powers up, it's his eyes only, first and foremost. They're only to assist you in turning it on.
Well, he's typing something. What is he typing? Well, I'm pretty sure he's going to say yes to that order, but as he's typing, let's cut to let's see. Can your phaser be drained? Mayweather, I would say you could maybe get a couple minutes if you use your phaser, but that may not be enough to get the information you want.
No, I didn't lose my mic. I just didn't want you guys hearing me typing while I press to talk and try to type with one hand.
Nah, it's fine. Yeah, I would say you're better off just waiting for the engineering team to come over and to, you know, do their thing, and then you do the eyes only type stuff.
Okay, I have a quick question since they're gonna bring me the paracel.
Mm-hmm.
As the flight officer, I can use con in place of engineering in ideas of propulsion and stuff. Since this is a small craft and I'm trying to power this up,
Uh-huh.
can they just drop off the paracel and I use my con instead of engineering to hook it up and then download?
I would say that is something that can indeed happen, yes.
I will tell that to the commander. So instead of eyes only, it'll literally be eyes only. They just bring it over, drop it off, and then I can hook it up.
I agree with that. I would approve that plan.
Alrighty. So, let's make it so. Things begin happening. So, first scene we're going to handle, so this will be a scene change. The first scene we're going to handle is Connery, Havoc, and maybe one or two NPCs in engineering. So, we cut
Actually,
to oh,
I want to try calling in our resident hologram that isn't Connery.
so do you want the Doctor, Galen, or do you want the EEH, aka Monty?
I want Galen in here because he knows how to repair himself as well, so he would actually have experience with helping repair Connery.
Okay, Galen, you have been called to main engineering.
Yeah, I'll materialize in.
Alrighty.
I immediately look at him and say, "Don't say a damn thing to this hologram about this ship. Do not mention that we are the Adiona. Do not mention that we have another hologram that is named Connery on this place. And do not mention that you are Galen. You are Lieutenant G."
I just stare at her quietly for a moment.
Temporal anomaly.
Yeah. I'll lean over to our doctor, and I say we're possibly dealing with a situation that involves the temporal prime directive.
Very well.
So privacy is key.
So I am simply Lieutenant Havoc, Commander Morgus, Commander M, and you will be called Lieutenant G.
Or
Try not
doctor.
to mention to him that you are a hologram, but if it is discovered, simply play it off that you are a hologram on some other ship.
Very well. And
Oh.
I'm just gonna make a mental note of paranoia in my files.
Oh yeah, she's very paranoid.
GM, how many people are in main engineering at this point?
That is your call. Right now, it is Havoc, Morgan, and Galen. I was imagining you told everyone else to GTFO and come back later.
That is exactly what I was thinking. I just wanted to confirm that before we continue.
The engineering crew saw me walk in. I pointed at the hard reset hammer on the wall, and they immediately skedaddled.
All right. Well, the good thing is that this is a small enough ship that if something goes wrong with the core, that you have enough people here to fix it. But that's okay. Nothing's going to go wrong with the core
Yet.
So, my question is, do you activate Connery at this point?
I think we should actually fix up the core of the machine before we actually fire up Connery, because he'll still be stuck inside the state.
Okay. So, this is going to be a extended task, and since we haven't done a whole lot of these, I'll go over the basics. So, an extended task is basically you're going to make a roll. In this case, it is a default task of control plus engineering, but you may, of course, argue for something else. And your default difficulty is going to be a 4. And as you succeed, we'll go further into what that means. If one of you wants to do the control engineering, the ship itself, the Adiona, will assist with computers engineering, and then one other individual may assist on top of that.
Galen, what's your control engineering?
Control is 8 and engineering's 4.
I have... Do I still have a better roll for him, even though I don't have a focus on this?
Say again?
would I have a better roll than him on this? Just out of character, would I be better at this than him, considering I have a control of 12 and engineering of 5, even though I lack the focus?
I mean, that's still a 17, so that's quite a significant roll under. I mean, you have a 3 out of 20 chance of failing, so yeah, I would say you definitely want to take the lead on this.
Yeah, I'll take the lead on engineering. If someone wants to get on the computers, they can do that, and anyone can assist, either me or the guy on
I
computers.
think I'll probably assist.
Okay.
Someone else will have to roll for the ship, though.
Yeah, I am
All right,
accounting for them
so-
being an engineering merit, not to worry.
So 2d20 as
Yep.
per usual.
Unless you'd
Alright.
like to spend momentum for a third.
Where did our third momentum go? Because I remember we
Scene
spent it and
change.
got it back. Oh, scene change. Do you want me to just burn 1 momentum to increase our chances?
Sure. I have a feeling that we may get it back. I feel like playing the odds today.
Yeah, so 3d20, no focus.
All right,
No
yeah,
crits,
like I said,
unfortunately.
Havoc's already got 3 successes, so we need a success from either the ship or from Morgan on this one.
Here's the
I was
ship.
actually hoping for a crit, just be like, whoop, just covered it completely. Now everyone get free rolls.
All right,
In ca-
ship's
in-
got it.
In case of just... Since we're just directly repaying the hologram, I don't necessarily think my focuses will play. would-
No, you're right. I don't think any would
Yeah.
apply here.
I didn't think so.
But you still get 1, so hey, you get that momentum right back. Nice. All right, so now that we've succeeded, we go into the second part of an extended task, and that is whenever you succeed on a roll, you then, whoever is the main roller, so Havoc in this case, you are now going to be rolling against a work track. And so for this instance, the work track is 16, which means you need 16 successes on a number of challenge dice in order to complete the extended task. So the way you do the challenge dice is it's 2 plus your discipline score, or engineering in this case. So Havoc, you are going to be rolling 7 challenge dice here.
Now to watch
And-
all of them fail.
Well, I will say this before the roll. You can spend a momentum to negate 1 resistance, if this has any resistance. And a resistance is basically, -1, -2, -3 off of whatever you roll. Or you can wait until you roll the dice, and then you can spend a momentum to re-roll however many you would like. But if you want to negate the resistance, you got to call that before the roll.
Now, is there resistance?
I would say
Or am I
maybe.
not allowed to know that?
Yeah, as a GM, I'm not supposed to tell you if it's got resistance, but I'll just say that it's a very strong possibility it might.
Should I burn it?
Yes.
Okay, I'll burn 1 to remove a bit of the resistance.
Okay.
Potential resistance, we don't know that. But it's likely that.
Yeah, it's highly
Potential.
likely.
Temporal mechanics, don't worry about it.
Firing off the challenge dice.
Okay, so that is 4 at the moment. Do you have any talents that might apply here? Let's see.
Let me take a look.
I believe actually in Nick of Time does do something. Hold on, because that could change how many momentum you have. Let's check.
If you ever succeeded at engineering or science task as part of an extended task, you score 1 additional work for every effect rolled.
That's very, very important. So you
Yes.
scored 7 dice, or 7 successes on this. All right, so again, I'll break it down for you. So you have done 7 out of 16 work. However, or I guess in addition to that, you have gotten over the magical number of 5. If you remember, this system is all about getting over 5 for good things. So because you have gotten over 5 work done in a single attempt, that means that you achieve what is called a breakthrough. And what that means is the default difficulty of 4 is now a 3. So the difficulty has gone down to a 3. And you also achieve a point against the magnitude, but we don't really worry about the magnitude. That's something I worry about. So narratively, what happens? Havoc, working together with the rest of your assembled sort of team, the very first thing you do is you begin running a level 1 diagnostic on Conry's core, his core matrix. And because you are in main engineering, and because you have Galen there to sort of point out, hey, you want to look for this, hey, you want to look for that, you home in on the algorithms and the subroutines that more or less comprise his memory circuits. So at this point, I would say you have averted, at least temporarily, the probability of, him losing his memory, but you're not out of the woods quite yet.
I have an idea to suggest.
Suggest away.
If this is a program from the Adiona, if from the future, and if his program is damaged, we could attempt a transfer. So something similar done to a other hologram in attempts to stabilize them. We take the old iteration, the one we currently have, and take what we need and transplant it into the individual suffering.
Didn't they
But
actually...
do we want to?
Oh,
Do
go
we
ahead.
want to mess with a temporally displaced hologram that may or may not have programming that we are not prepared to deal with?
What was the question, GM?
No, I was just going to
Anything
say, I believe they actually did that on Voyager when they fixed the Doctor. So there is precedence here.
This will just repair the damaged parts. Damaged subroutines will get patched up and fixed. Think of it like a donor.
Could we also roll to make sure that at least we keep our current holomatrix in the process?
Let me think.
It was a one-off, so they merged them, and that was it.
Yeah, you
I
know
know.
what? I think I'm going to be a little bit of a dick here and say that if you want to merge your current emergency science hologram with Conry, that you are likely going to lose your ESH, I suppose.
I had to try. I had to try. But yeah, command decision.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, I don't necessarily think we have the time to waste. That wasn't intentional.
Good joke, Commander.
So I'm gonna say I'm gonna absolutely authorize it. I mean, yeah. Let's do it.
Okay.
I'm just trying to weigh the risks and what may or may not happen, but I'm not gonna afford to second guess myself, especially when it comes to temporal anomalies. So by all means.
Okay. So, I will say that by going through with this, by merging the current ESH with Conry, I'm actually going to be reducing both the resistance and the difficulty for you. So, let's do another round of rolls. This time, the difficulty will now be a 2, and there will be no resistance whatsoever.
Alright, so rolling the 7.
Mm-hmm. Well, no. You're still doing a control engine. So we start over. So you do another control engineering. Ship does another computers engineering. Morgan does another control engineering. Then
2d20.
if you succeed, then we do the challenge dice.
Alright, so I'm rolling the 2d20 without burning the momentum this time.
Well, you could if you wanted to, but, up to you.
No, I'll burn 1.
Okay. All right, well, there's 2 successes you need. There's 1 momentum from the ship, and there's 2 more from Morgan. Yeah, Morgan was Morgan came prepared today. Alright, so I actually believe that gets you all the way to max. No, you're at 5 momentum overall. So almost a cap. So, this time, Havoc, I'm also going to give you a bonus here on your challenge dice. If you want to now roll me 9 challenge dice, so I'm basically giving you 2 extra.
Time to roll.
Yeah, you blow this
Well
dice
then.
way out of the water. So, on Galen's suggestion and on Morgan's command approval, you all begin basically doing as the doctor suggested and using the current ESH as a graft or a donor for Conry, and it has a immediate effect. Conry's matrix appears to begin stabilizing on its own and repairing itself. And while you do note that there is some data loss, you're not quite sure if the data loss is from the ESH side or if it's on Conry's side. It's not a major loss. But all said and done, this entire process has maybe taken you about an hour. And we'll get to Mayweather in a moment. But at the end of this hour, you are 99.9% sure that Conry has been stabilized and now may be able to tell you what you need to know.
I'll look to both of them and I was like, how did you come across this program, by the way?
I immediately look him dead in the eyes and say, temporal anomaly. Best we not question it any further.
Was he stored in the craft, or...?
Supplanting Havoc's, curbing Havoc's paranoia just a little bit. I will tell the doctor. I'll inform him how we detected the transmission from a neutron star and the steps taken up until this point. I give him a very basic rundown of the events that have transpired so far.
Okay.
Do you tell him about the band?
I do not tell you about the band.
Alright.
Well, I will say, Galen, that you guys have been pretty much working on the band. So I think you would have seen it by now. Like, there's no way it would have been avoided.
No, but I just omit that necessarily that part of the story. I know obviously he's aware of it.
I thought he was transferred to a shunted off part of the computer core.
I would say it's kind of 50-50 there. You still would have to bring the band with you in order to do that.
So I've definitely seen the band then. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is it identical?
I would say if you want to kind of get a better look at it, you're going to need to roll me a Reason Engineering. And the difficulty here will be a 3 for you.
Reason Engineering. I'm a hull specialist. I should be able to pick up on anything on that, right?
Yeah, the focus would definitely apply. I will give you the option of succeeding, but it will be at cost, so I will get 2 threat.
I really want to know.
Dude, we got 5 momentum. Why are you only rolling 2 dice?
Yeah, I'll give you. I'll take the cost.
All right. So, good news, bad news. Good news, Galen. It's not your armband. It is a backup armband of sorts. Like, you wouldn't have taken, one armband onto this ship and been relying on it like the doctor was, Someone, either yourself or someone at the Corps of Engineering back on Utopia Planitia thought, you know what, let's give him some backups just to be safe. Bad news. The band itself, as you inspect it, you find on the back, like kind of on the underside of the band, where it would normally like be against a skin or a uniform or whatever, you see written on it, or kind of like scratched into it very haphazardly, there is a G in it.
I want to see if I can. Part of it, like, do I see like any markers, like a serial number or anything like that?
There are serial numbers in it, yes. Obviously, I don't want to have one off the top of my head, but you could do something with the serial number, yes.
I just want to access the computer and see if it's a serial number that should be one of the backup bands we have.
Sure enough, it happens to be, quote unquote, the third backup.
Interesting. And that's all my probing I'll do into it. Oh, I lost everyone on screen.
No, I lost everyone in roll 22. Oh boy. Alright, well, I tell you what, since it appears roll 20... Oh, no, people are coming back. Okay, good. In that case, let us cut back to Mayweather, because Mayweather is going to have a bit of an interesting time. Alright, so where did I put the shuttle? There's the shuttle. Alright, let's get Morgan off here. Let's get Havoc off here. Alright. So, Mayweather, the engineers bring you a power core, drop it off with you, wish you Godspeed, and it's all up to you at this point. So, we can handle this one of two ways, and I'll let you decide which we want to do. I can either let you do an extended task like those guys just did, slightly different, and, you know, it would take a little bit of time, but, you know, we would get through it hopefully. The other option is you can go for a Hail Mary attempt, and it will be at a increased difficulty, but if you were to succeed on this task, you would get all of the information that you would have gotten from the extended task. So it's kind of a checks and balances here. You can either take the time to do the extended task, or you can go for the just one big one. It's really up to you.
Big money, no whammy is the theme of the night.
I'll go big because I have cautious con. So if I'm using my con, I'll get to at least re-roll a d20 if it comes up bad.
All right, so since we're doing the big one, let me lay everything out for you. The default task is going to be daring engineering, but you do have the ability to substitute engineering. So for you, daring plus con. The overall difficulty will be a 5. So I would recommend that you spend maybe determination, maybe spending all the momentum, you know, maximize your chances for success here.
I'm checking my values real quick.
Sure. And yeah, as Captain has pointed out, you could calm the captain and he could come down and potentially aid you with this.
Mayweather, the Captain Williams.
This the captain. Go.
I have information that we'll need, but due to the temporal prime directive, I need some assistance, and I am requesting your assistance, sir.
No problem. Stand by 1 second. GM, I'm gonna call on a determination.
Uh-huh.
Use the point. My men are my lifeline.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to assign my determination point to Mayweather for use for 2 immediate successes.
All right, and you're doing that via veteran, yeah?
No, it's the captain. It's giving an order. I can assign my determination to another crew member within comm range.
Ah, well, that makes it especially easy. Yeah, that's. I think that's actually, you know, across all my games that's actually come up with the captain's thing coming into play. Nice. All right, so Mayweather, in that case, you do start off with 2 successes. But you are still only rolling 2 dice, so you may want to obviously spend momentum, give me threat, you know. That's what I
did burn one of the momentum for scene change, by the way.
Yeah. So yeah, you do have 4 momentum at the moment, but remember you can substitute momentum for threat if you want to spend more.
Okay, if it's all right with everyone, I will spend it all and spend threat to get 3 extra dice. Or actually, I've already spent 1 for the determination, correct?
Mm-hmm.
That was the captain's determination.
Right, but it still counts.
As the die.
Yeah, it still counts.
So I'll spend it up to get the extra dice, so where I'm really only rolling 4, but I'm spending for 5, if that makes sense, with the 2 successes.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, so to do that, it's going to take all your momentum and 1 threat.
Is that okay?
Go for it.
Make it happen.
All right, big money, mo whammies, I believe.
I guess after this, I'll check to see if I get my determination back.
Mm-hmm.
Small craft or astral navigation?
I'll let small craft apply.
Oof.
All right, so let's see what we got. So you are currently at 4 successes and 1 complication. So there's a couple ways we can handle this.
I spent momentum and I have cautious con, so I can re-roll that.
That's right. So let's handle that. So yeah, I'm guessing you're going to want to re-roll that complication.
Yes, I am.
What's the maximum number of dice you can throw?
The maximum number of dice you can throw on any task is 5. Wow.
Good lord, man.
Wow.
St. D&D, what you doing?
All right, so there's a few ways we can handle this. Obviously, option 1 is that the task is unsuccessful, and the complication will be the reason why. Option 2 is you spend your determination, Mayweather, and you re-roll as many dice as you would like. Option 3 is... no, I guess you don't have any momentum, so there is no option 3. So those are your 2 options.
Actually, I have a option for you.
Okay.
I can see the cost, and the console downloads, but then it overpowers and blows up, and I'm injured.
I would be okay with that. However, this may be a injury which, well, you know, I would roll on a chart I have to see what kind of an injury it would be.
There is threat he could spend too, right?
No. For a reroll like this, it has to be determination.
Yeah, you can't spend threat to save yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let me switch and read off my values, unless you can read the...
Yeah, I'll pull it up for you. No problem. Let's see. You have, as humanity goes, so does the United Federation of Planets. Have starship will travel. Voice of the crew. And I can't fly warp 5.5. Oh, I should have looked at your values sooner. That's great. Let's see. I would say it's a stretch, but I will let have starship will travel apply here.
All right, then I will use that and then spend the momentum.
Well, no, you don't need to spend a momentum. Just spending your determination.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, you can re-roll as many dice as you would like, so presumably the 2 that didn't pass.
Half starship will travel. He picks up that spanner Havoc left behind and starts beating on the console.
All right. Well, even though you only got one success, the one success is all you needed. So Mayweather.
Well,
No, go ahead.
that's supposed to be under my con. That would be that'd be 2.
No. I'm. Oh, you're right. So you actually would get a momentum back. Thank you for pointing that out. All right. So, here's what happens, Mayweather. You take the power cell and applying your knowledge of small craft and knowing how to sort of jury rig or jumpstart an engine like this, you very quickly are able to set up the power cell in such a manner that is a stable and safe power flow to the shuttlecraft. And you sort of flip the switch and everything comes to life. And you begin trying to gather information off of the computer core. However, due to the advanced age and corrupted sectors of the computer core, you're not able to get much, but what you do get is something that you would immediately recognize as being very important, especially because you are the helmsman. That information is that you are seeing a very complex equation that is attached to modifications of normal QSD. Now, just looking at this, you have no idea what this equation nor these modifications do, but that is what you pull off of the computer banks.
Captain is on the shuttle with me, correct?
No,
Negative.
he calmed you down.
Yeah,
Okay.
I basically coached you over the radio and said, get that shit done.
Mayweather was the captain.
This is the captain.
I have some interesting data about the QSD, so I guess we'll have to talk with Captain Warren about who needs to be in the briefing room so I can show this information and explain it.
Alrighty. Finish mopping up there, and then we'll meet in the ready room.
Aye, sir.
Alright, GM, do my challenge roll for my my point.
Yep, let's do that before we forget. No. Well, hold on. I think it...
It's got to be in effect.
No. I don't think it actually rolled because there was an apostrophe in there. Yeah, it didn't roll. So hit it again.
Okay. Rolling now.
Yeah, that time it went through. Yeah, but still no effect.
Yeah, still the same.
All right. So, kind of to bring everybody back to the same page, we cut very briefly back to engineering, and this won't be a scene change quite yet. But we'll say you guys reactivate Conry, and Conry, kind of comes to life, quote unquote, looks around and says, "Ah, yes, the Adiona's engineering bay. I remember it well. Yes, you are Commander Morgan, and you are Havoc, and you are Galen. I have much to tell you, but perhaps we should do it with the rest of the senior staff."
Connery, you understand the temporal prime directive, correct?
I am quite aware of it, yes, but this is very crucial information.
I give a slightly unsure look at Morgan, just like, should we actually let this happen?
No. I mean, to the best of our ability, I ask... Well, I'm saying no in my head. I didn't say that out loud. But to Connery, I ask, is there any specific individuals that you need to speak with that are important to the story?
No, it just needs to be to the senior staff.
Well, to the best of my ability, unfortunately, I kind of like to limit this to a Starfleet only thing. So, I don't mind gathering the rest of the senior staff, but I would like IHA absent.
Okay. Question: would Zava be in on this, and would Andromeda be in on this?
I'd say yes to Zava, and while I'm calling, I'll let Andromeda be the captain's call.
Okay.
I'm not necessarily completely for it because I'd like to be Starfleet only, but at the same time, we are where we are now in Andromeda, so.
Yeah, and I won't know who to include in until I know what the hell's going on. So.
All right. Well, for sake of argument, we will say that Andromeda is not there, so you guys
Okay,
can
then.
just brief her later. All right. So I'm going to put us on this map, but we are going to take our break here as we all sort of assemble for the senior staff meeting. So if you guys could be back by no later than the top of the hour, and yeah, we will take our break. So BRB.
Yeah, I've had the power flash twice since I've been in here.
I gotta get something in my stomach. I haven't eaten in about 18 hours.
Food's optional, you know?
I don't photosynthesize.
Well, not yet, anyway. We're in Andromeda now. Anything could happen. Who knows?
Just gotta try harder. Just really absorb that light. No cat.
I'll be right back myself.
Alright, so this is the part of the stream where I talk to my lovely people, either watching this live or watching this on YouTube later. Of course, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you're having a good time, as usual. My kind of goal with all this is tell a story, and if it's entertaining and you people are loving it, then that's all I can really ask for. However, I do have to do a tiny bit of channel shilling here, if you don't mind. Again, if you have Twitch Prime or Amazon Prime, you do get a free sub to any channel of your choice. I would love it if it was me, but, you know, not really requirement. Just remember that Twitch Prime is weird, and I don't understand why they do this, but you do have to re-up it every month. It's not a automatic thing for whatever reason. The other thing I'd like to reiterate is that while I am at PAX during the first weekend of September and, you know, last weekend of August, I will be running an in real life game of Star Trek Adventures. If you are at the con or you are interested in playing as such, basically you're going to want to watch my Twitter, and I will be tweeting out where my table is, when I get it, what day. I'm tentatively thinking Saturday, but I'm gonna have to see. I'm obviously staying with another D&D group of mine, and I'm gonna have to see what our plans are for that day. But I'm thinking Saturday. We'll see. But the way I have it set up so far is that you're not going to be required to bring anything but maybe your lovely self. But more information on that as we get closer. But yeah, I think I'm going to unmute myself for the rest of the guys, and we will wait for people to come back. And I am back.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Excuse me.
How was your weekend?
No, weekend was great. Wrath and Glory came out, so I spent most of the weekend either looking at that core book or doing some typesetting work. So it was a good weekend. Got a lot done.
That's funny. Saw you Sunday morning as I was. Well, for you, Sunday morning it was still Sunday morning for us, but my Mutants and Master Mind game is once a month, but it starts at 8:30 here in the evening, and so we finished pretty early, and we had a good time. But I just thought it was funny, and I was just since I just finished on Discord, it was just one of those ones. I'll check to see if there's any messages, and I saw that people were actually on. I thought that was kind of funny because it was so late for me on the West Coast. So it's like, hey, that's pretty early.
I mean, I joke about it, but I'm semi-serious when I say I am on Tokyo time. And that is not just for work, but because a lot of the people I talk with online or play games with happen to be, on late in the evening. So there's also a little bit of insomnia there, but I won't bore you with my medical problems. So, I'm up usually most of the night.
I was sleepwalking.
Hello, insomnia, my old friend.
I was sleepwalking.
Oh.
Yeah, it's because we have one guy, and we set it at 8:30 Pacific, is because we have a guy he's in, I believe he's in Britain, but he's in Greenwich Mean Time, and he has Mondays off. So for him, it's perfect because it's the next day basically for him because for us 8 hours. So he enjoys it, but it's just all us older middle aged people are like, it's 8:30 on a Sunday. Come on.
No, I feel your pain. When I ran the All Sisters of Battle game of Dark Heresy 2, we had someone in Alaska, we had someone in New Zealand, and then we had me on the East Coast. So I think the only time we could ever meet was literally 1 a.m. on a Saturday. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, great game, but I would never do that again.
Are we talking about crazy tabletop session times?
Yep. That we are.
I've told the story more than once, so I probably shouldn't tell it again. People have already heard it in there, and whatever.
Yeah, our common joke is like one of the guys was on voice free, and he was talking, and for some reason we just heard this young his daughter woke up, and he had put her to bed, but it was 10:30 on a Sunday, and she woke up, and it was like the GM says, "Excuse me, I have to go real quick." His 5-year-old daughter just woke up in the middle of the night on a Sunday, and it was just like, yeah. And we were joking that this wouldn't happen, 20 years ago when we were in our 20s. But that was just one of those ones where you're starting. He's doing this scene, and then you just hear this cute little 5-year-old voice wanting to know what daddy's doing.
No, in that same Sisters game, I had a player who had the same sort of problem where he'd put his kids to sleep, and then every once in a while we would hear, "Daddy, what are you doing?" And then he would just sigh, the most deepest sigh you could ever imagine, and say, "I will be right back." But yeah, it's always fun to hear little snippets of people's life in the background. Oh dear. All right. So obviously Mayweather's back. I've heard from Morgan. I've heard from Merrick. Galen is muted completely, so we don't know about him. Is Havoc and is Williams here?
I am here.
Captain is here.
Alrighty. So I will just type out for Galen that whenever he's back. Know when you are back, Galen. Boop. And yeah, he's still got 3 minutes. So yeah, hopefully everybody's having a good time. Everybody's freaking out about temporal mechanics, as was the goal of this adventure.
Admittedly, I'm slightly high-strung because last night I did Darkest Dungeon with friends. My god, the amount of bookshelves that got burned.
Wait, that's multiplayer now?
No. What I do is I share my screen with all of them and share the audio, and have each one of them control one character in the party.
I got you.
They then bark orders at me, I follow them, and, well, the Flagellant had a freaking heyday.
Yeah, I haven't played that game since the beta, man. It's just too much stress. It's just too XCOM feeling.
I'm back.
They fixed the XCOMness a little bit with the new update. They did make the AI less random and more focused. Also, don't play at the Crimson Court until you at least have a party of level 3 or higher. They will all die.
What's up?
Not much.
Yo.
All right, so we're all back, I think. So let's jump back right into it. So let me get rid of the big BRB on the screen. All right, so gentlemen, we cut to the main conference room, and all of you are assembled. That should be here. All of the Starfleet senior staff, anyway. And yeah, Connery just sort of looks between Morgan and the captain for permission to begin speaking.
Yeah, we got everybody. Please proceed.
Well, I am quite aware that the Temporal Prime Directive is at play here, but I do have specific orders, and they are to tell you the following. The Adiona, on its trip back from the center of the galaxy in 2384, we came upon the edge of what used to be Fryla space. However, the Fryla had all been wiped out by the Toth. Their territory had been annexed and blockaded against incursion on all sides. To make matters worse, it appeared that the Toth were preparing to mount an assault on the Alpha Quadrant via Pandora's Gate. And this was obviously something very heavily debated among the senior staff, and it was eventually decided that we would try and pinpoint if there was any specific event in history that led to the Toth attacking the Fryla, or if it was simply an inevitability. Again, I cannot tell you how we determined this, but we were able to narrow down a particular event with a 96.3 probability of being correct.
Wait, stop right there.
Yeah, he stopped.
Please don't tell me I think it is. Don't tell me you're about to say what I think you're about to say.
Well, I do not... I'm not able to read minds, Captain.
Yeah, this...
I perk up.
this,
Was this an encounter where a Fryla ship had a problem with navigation and the Toth were attempting to capture it?
No, but it was temporarily close to it.
Oh,
right.
wait. Not relaxing. Not relaxing.
All right, let's hear it.
Essentially, and I have checked the star date, sometime within the next few days, a Toth ship known as the Katsun will go missing in this very system. And though we are not 100% sure, it is surmised that the Katsun might have gotten ensnared by this neutron star. And unfortunately, before we were able to confirm 100%, the Toth attacked the Adiona and moved up, sending someone back in time. And the last I remember of the Adiona was it valiantly fending off 3 Toth cruisers, while this shuttle of mine went into the temporal vortex.
So, if we sent this shuttle into the temporal vortex, why you?
It was determined that a hologram would be the only one able to withstand the effects.
Well, I'm just glad it wasn't what I was thinking of.
So, tell me, did any of the crew think of downloading their memories, or at least a part of them, into the programming of the ship?
No, it was determined that it was better for a hologram to be sent because we would be able to deliberately block out or erase part of our memories.
Well, that sounds like a Commander Morgan suggestion for sure.
Who made that suggestion?
Sure enough, it was Commander Morgan.
I look at the captain and say, "This may be overstepping the question bound, but what was my vote when it came down to this?"
I cannot tell you. That is against my programming.
All right, thought I may as well just try.
So, Connery, while you were on board the shuttle, escaping into the temporal anomaly, could you determine from the shuttlecraft exactly how the Adiona was attacked?
Well, the three Toth cruisers appeared pretty much out of nowhere, almost as if they had cloaking technology from, well, I can't say where, but they appeared pretty much out of nowhere.
Did the Fryla ever tell us that the Toth had cloaking technology?
Out of character, no. To the best of anyone's knowledge, the Toth do not have cloaking technology.
Okay.
Wait, didn't they just demonstrate that with the scout ship that we rescued a few days ago?
They were in a sensor blind spot, I think.
Yeah, that was correct. Yeah, they were in a sensor blind spot. They were powered down almost to 0 levels, so it was very hard to pick them out of the background radiation.
Plus their hull plating, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. They're rigged for silent running.
Connery, you mentioned that a Toth ship fell into this anomaly here prior to Adiona arriving?
No, it shall supposedly arrive within the next several hours, if not days.
Were you able to determine the nature of his mission before the events took place?
No, we do not know what the Toth vessel was doing here. Only that it is possibly at fault for the events that transpired.
Let me clarify my question, though. In your history, a Toth vessel fell into this grav well, and then you determined that this event was perhaps a cause of the loss of the Freela. And then you returned to the spot yourself, where you ended up entering the anomaly while the Adiona was attacked.
He just sort of nods that all of that's pretty much correct so far.
Okay. So, were you able to determine in your time when the original Toth ship fell into this anomaly, where did it reappear?
That I am not sure about. And Mayweather, that is an unknown. Not a whole lot's known about Andromeda's race. I mean, you could ask Connery, but he's probably going to tell you no.
Yeah, and he'd probably be barred from telling us any secrets like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's see here. Mayweather, I know you had some information you collected from the shuttle. Can you go ahead and put it up on the
Yes,
screen
I
for display?
downloaded modifications for our quantum slip drive.
What do you predict those designs would assist us in doing?
I'll peruse the equations.
Okay.
I will project them on a screen.
So, my question is, out of character,
Mm-hmm.
what Mayweather found exactly were calculations for this quantum slips, the quantum drive's wake exactly, or what exactly is the nature of these calculations?
The calculations are very deliberately vague from a narrative standpoint because it would take you a good long, say, 12 hours to pore over these calculations to see what the effect on QSD would be. But the modifications to QSD that were accompanying this equation were things like aperture size and deflector frequency and things like that.
So basically, reconfiguration of the existing systems.
Correct.
And much more complicated than what we're using now.
That's the sense you're getting looking at it, yes.
Well, once we hold on. I want to think about this before I ask it. I don't want everybody to go quiet while I think. If anybody has any other questions, they can ask.
No, I think the problem is everybody else is thinking too.
I have a question out of character.
Sure.
I know Mayweather wouldn't know this, but I keep wanting to say the Ophion, but I know it's not the Ophion. It's the
Lysithea.
Lysithea. They got a cloak, didn't they?
Yes, they did have a Chanel cloaking device, but to everyone's knowledge, including my own, they didn't exactly share that with anyone.
Okay. I just had that in my brain. I was just trying to figure. I knew Mayweather didn't know it, but I was like, did I imagine that? Or did I actually,
No, it's impressive that you remembered that.
Okay, so right now it looks like the next question is, do we hang out and see if this prediction is true?
Well, before I answer the temporal mechanics bit, I'm going to look at Connery to see if there's any other information that he could tell us.
He just sort of shakes his head and said, "That is the extent of what I can tell you about the future. It is in my programming that approximately 1 hour after this briefing, I will be completely reset to an emergency science hologram."
Alrighty, so an incoming ship of belonging to the Toth somehow finds itself lost here. Thing is, do we interfere and risk changing the timeline, or let things go and hope for the best?
May I put down that this is a temporal anomaly that is happening, meaning technically the future is affecting the past at this point.
I recommend that we withdraw our buoys at this time, at least.
All right, so Connery, I have a question for you.
He says, just sort of nods and motions for you to go on.
What was the last thing you remember before you went into the temporal anomaly exactly?
As I said, it was the Adiona under attack by 3 Toth cruisers.
But that was 4 years after the event that you determined to cause the loss of the Freela Empire.
3 years, yes.
And may I ask, how much had the ships changed since the 3 years before?
I cannot tell you that.
I groan ever so slightly.
See, this is why I hate getting involved with temporal stuff, man.
I suggest we actually deal with this problem. From the looks of it, either we deal with it, or thousands of people die.
Well, it's
Strike
more on
that.
the order of
Millions.
millions, if not billions, and possibly an attack on the Alpha Quadrant, but who's counting?
I'm just talking initial incursion size. We're losing thousands of innocent civilians, and if what he says is true, they're going to kill an entire civilization.
And our only ally on this side of the gate, this side of the gate.
Prime temporal directive or not, we have to deal with this.
Well, if not now, definitely later.
Commander Morgan, would you describe this as a loop? Because if we do prevent it, effectively none of this would have ever happened.
Although a temporal causality loop is possible, we haven't necessarily seen any indications of this phenomena at this point.
Let me make a quick call to the bridge.
1 second. Morgan, did you adjust your mic at all? Because you got super quiet there.
Oh, no, I stepped away from it. Is this better?
That is much better, yes. I only caught about half of what you said.
Oh, okay. I was saying, this does have the potential to be a temporal causality loop. However, I'd like to see if we could gather other evidence to necessarily support this theory. And if Connery has the ability to divulge anything else, at least in nature, if he could assist before he goes offline with the quantum drive calculations that we do have in our possession now.
Okay.
I'll make a quick call to the bridge. Bridge is the captain.
Who would be on the bridge at this point?
He'd probably be one of the backups that swiveled into position once we went into the room.
Yeah, let's keep them nameless for the time being. Yes, this is the bridge captain.
Give me a ping. One ping only, please. Ship-wide. I want to know what's around me.
So, out of character, you want to know what's in the general area around the ship?
Yep, one long-range scan all the way around. Maximum sensor range.
All right. So, they say, 1 moment, sir. And ping goes out, and they say, sir, we are detecting a incoming Toth vessel. They don't appear to be moving in such a way that would indicate they care about our presence or even know about it, but they are approaching the neutron star.
Would they be able to, I'll say, thank you, Bridge, and turn back to the guys. Would they be able to detect us this close to the neutron star?
Do we have a sense of how strong their sensors are at this point?
No. The only person who would know would be Iha.
Alrighty. Then I'll turn to the ESO and say, for now, if you could go ahead and deactivate, I'm going to bring in some people that aren't exactly cleared for this information.
Understood. And may I say, it's a pleasure seeing all of you again. Then, he gives a nice warm Connery smile, and then he deactivates.
Alrighty, guys. I'm going to bring Iha in and inform her of at least a ship nearby. Let's see what information we can get from her without breaching our level of trust with each other. And maybe we can make a better decision.
Okay, and I do have a comment for Commander Morgan. Commander Morgan, the ESO or ESH for the next hour has the information inside him.
That's correct.
Do we want to effectively hack him, as a human term would apply?
Although I respect his wishes, at the same time, I'd like to see if we could coax a little bit more cooperation out of him first. Have him assist you to the best of his ability with the quantum drive calculations. And
Zava actually cuts across you there and says, Commander, Lieutenant, we're already violating the temporal prime directive. We can't deliberately interface with a hologram to try and rip information from it. That goes against everything I learned at the academy.
I'll butt in. It's like, let's do this for now then. Isolate part of the computer core or make a separate computer core. Copy at least a copy of his program there and leave it deactivated. Leave him disconnected from the ship's chronometer. In worst case scenario, we could at least speak to him again should anything happen to the active program we have now. No intention to break the temporal prime directive, but I do want whatever information he has protected from damage or anything else with this Thoth ship. I'm not taking any chances.
Zava nods and says, I'm okay with that.
To be clear, I wasn't necessarily advising that we hack him. I just wanted to see if we could voluntarily have him assist.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying that you were going to hack him, but considering that we're getting a lifeline from a program, I want to make sure that we got more than one copy of it.
I also just want to make sure. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
If he is designed to reset after a certain amount of time, he will reset, regardless of if we keep him separated or isolated. I myself can tell the time between activation.
Yes, but he still needs a chronometer to do that. So I'd like a copy that's inactive and not worrying about that, just as an emergency backup.
So you want to put him in a room without a clock, so to speak,
Yes.
so he can't be able to tell time.
Yes. Once we reactivate him, he's obviously going to reactivate his own chronometer. But I don't want the stored copy to delete the data before we're ready.
There is a chance that when he reactivates, his chronometer will tell him that he's past a point, and it will just immediately reset.
I'm aware of that, but I'm not ready to hack his code yet either. Right now, I just want more time if we can get it. This is the safest way to do it without tampering with his data.
Jim, when we were looking him over, would I recognize his program as becoming sentient?
Well, let's define sentience here. Are we talking like the Doctor and Galen level sentience, or are we talking just a very good hologram or holodeck character?
Galen Doctor.
I would say it was on the verge of such. What's the name of the hologram in DS9? The musician.
Vic.
Oh, yeah.
Vic
Fontaine.
Vic Fontaine.
Yeah, it's sort of on the level of Vic.
Okay, let's stow the conversation about him now. Let me go ahead and bring in our guest so we can get some more information on our current situation.
All right. And if you all would give me
if everybody else on the staff is good with that, I'm going to bring them in now.
Yeah. And yeah, if you guys could give me a couple minutes, so you guys can obviously keep talking amongst yourselves, but my dog is apparently needing to go outside again, so I will be right back.
Gotta go walkies. Yeah, so yeah, I just wanted to make sure that stuff is stored. I don't trust a DM to give me a shot at that information, so I want a backup copy somewhere.
I wonder if Vic Fontaine was actually sentient, though.
He seems more like a character to me.
He cared
he
about
had-
people, though.
He was kind of sentient because at one point, I can't remember who it is, but they were.
He consoled Quark one time.
Yeah,
Right?
well, they were threatening. Quark threatened to turn him off, and he literally said he didn't care because he was a hologram, and he turned himself off. And most other holograms can do it. He literally turned it. He said "computer in program," and he disappeared. And Quark and the holosuite went back to normal. And Quark was just kind of like, "You're not supposed to be able to do that." And Garrick and Dr. Bashir were saying all they said was Vic's different.
Yeah, because he displays consciousness, self-aware, and intelligence. He's able to migrate his program to another program.
So
'Cause
maybe
I
he just got administrator rights, maybe.
Well, he also had care for people like Odo and Kira.
Maybe the Binars got to it.
All right,
So-
sorry about that.
So Commander Morgan might be a way that you might think to appeal to his personality, or in a sense his humanity, if you wanted to try to get more from him.
That's definitely an idea that I'd like to pursue.
The reason why I'm bringing it up is because if he is classified as sentient, he has rights.
And in the same vein, Vic knew he was a hologram, and almost all the other characters, holograms, they didn't know what he was talking about. They were laughing and joking in that 1950s thing, like, what's that? Is that a sci-fi thing? You know, you've been reading Toonie magazine, funny books, stuff like that. But he, you know, you mentioned the word hologram. I mean, he knew exactly that he's a hologram. So the fact that he knew what he is kind of shows the self-determined kind of thing.
And it's one of those things where you have to remember we see multiple times in many of the shows that the main computer is already borderline sentient. So it really comes down to a morality choice, I would think.
Can we talk about Starfleet's ability to bio holograms with sentience just like on a whim and immediately? and how that just like nobody actually asks themselves the ethical question of just like, why do we continue to do this? I'm not even just talking about Moriarty. I'm talking about like every show.
No, you're not wrong. It is a staple of Trek that it just keeps happening, and they never talk about making it stop.
Like everybody. I mean, holographic Leia Brown. I mean, Vic Fontaine. We had that Voyager episode where Janeway gave the holograms to, I'm forgetting the name of the species right now. The Hirogen, yeah. And then in season 7, they come back and they're hunting all the Federation species, and the holograms don't want to die. And just like, okay, why did we give them that level of sentience?
Because humans gonna human, that's why.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so I guess my question is, do you bring in Iha at this point?
Well, I have a comment for Commander Morgan and the Doctor. So
sure. So she's not quite here yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to call them in when we were ready.
So basically, I want Commander Morgan to think about this. And Doctor, if you were told to, I assume you have programming that would not allow you to harm people, right? The Hippocratic Oath. Could you exceed your programming in that regard if you deemed it necessary in some situation?
The fact that I'm not an EMH and just the Doctor, I've already proved my ability to push beyond what I was made for. The Oath is... how do I want to say this? It's like your teachings in Starfleet. It's what you've learned and what you've told and how you abide by those rules.
So we'd have to give the science officer hologram a reason to not shut down.
If his code has been tampered with to be a hard lock, it may be part of him now. We may have reinforced that part of his subroutine by overlaying the old program over him. He's at a crucial point where he could become what Starfleet has classified me as, sentient.
Very good. That's my comments.
If he is sentient, he has afforded rights, and locking him up is in violation of that.
All right. Any other comments before I bring in the other folks?
Again, just on the same vein. In any case, I would like to at least attempt to appeal to his morality again, additionally, before he leaves. So that's the vein that we're going to pursue, first and foremost. And any other talk about what may or may not happen after is something that we will discuss in the moment.
All right, I have no problem with that. Any other comments? Alrighty, then yeah, if I'm assuming the ESH is already shut. The ESH is ready to shut down.
Yep.
Okay, then I'll call. This is the captain to Isla and Andromeda. Could you please come to the conference room, please?
And both of them chime that they will be there momentarily. And sure enough, both, your big MVP and your guide for the area, they pop in, they take their seats, and just sort of look at you questioningly about why they were called in.
Thank you for coming. We brought you in here mainly because we've received sensor contact about a Thoth ship all the way out here in uncharted space.
Iha just kind of looks at you, kind of with a tilted head, like a dog does to the side, where it's confused what you're saying, and says, all the way out here, it's strange, they usually don't come out this way. Do you know what kind of ship it is?
It's still at our the extremes of our sensor range at the moment. But the main reason is there anything of significance we should be aware of in this area that might have them actively searching in this area, other than just a weird pulsar here or there, or anything else like that?
She thinks for a few moments, hems and haws, and says, hey, and this is more of a rumor than it is anything else, Captain, but the Fryla people, those of us in intelligence, know that the Toth are trying to do stuff with neutronium, but again, it's all secondhand. It could just be hearsay. We have not seen any indication or, really any backup information, something to back up this assumption. Honestly, I think it's just a rumor, but this is a neutron star and would be a prime source of neutronium, so honestly, I'm not sure. But it's also odd, Captain, because Toth sensors are very gravimetric based. They use the gravimetric sort of scans of an area to determine where they are.
So after that, unless the captain wants to interject, I have a question.
No, go ahead.
So, trying to be trying to be polite and diplomatic, but also attempting to be discreet. I'd like to ask Iha, since this is an uncharted space, if any prior ships have ever been here before, or at least have the system charted and or mapped.
So the question is whether or not they have mapped this sector, if I heard that right.
Yes, have they ever mapped this sector? And has there ever been a physical ship's presence passing through here?
No, all of our scans have been sort of long range.
Okay, well, that's my question.
So Andromeda, I know this might be a bit of a long shot, but can you think of anything out in this area of space that might be a point of interest?
Sorry, Captain. My knowledge about this is about as much as yours is.
I figured I'd give it a shot, just in case. Yeah, some of our science guys are thinking that there may be a fight over this particular spot. Your comment about neutronium may be good, but I'm not sure how I feel about leaving this thing unwatched.
I'm voting that we don't leave it unwatched. We gotta keep an eye on this. It's too suspicious that they would be moving out in this area.
I agree, but we can't stay out here forever. I mean, we're the Adiona is a speedboat, not a battleship.
I look at Iha. Question: does the Fryla have anything out here?
And she does think and says, I think the nearest ship is about 5 days away.
Ah, shite.
Okay.
Well, regardless of the current situation at this point, I think it's wise to bring us to tactical readiness, so at least bring us to yellow alert.
I agree. We'll go ahead and do that.
All right, so
I guess that's all we got
okay.
now. Thanks a lot, Isla and Andromeda. I appreciate your input.
Of course, Captain. And Iha does excuse herself a little bit ahead of Andromeda. Andromeda does linger a little bit and says, Captain, I don't know if this means anything to you, but something about the Toth is almost like trying to jog a memory in my mind. It's almost like a ball out of reach that you can't just quite grasp. I wish I knew what it was, but I just thought you should know.
Anything we can do to help out?
No, trust me, it's something the Daystrom Institute worked with me heavily about. We think that's due to my unique physiology and the way I am sort of symbiotic related to my suit, that the memories are either gone or locked in such a state that it's going to take some sort of specific stimuli to bring them back.
I understand. I appreciate your candor. Thank you.
Of course. Excuse me. And unless anyone stops her, Andromeda does step out at that point.
All right, I guess the door shuts behind her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have very little to go on, a small boat to do it with, and we have to wait.
Well, at this point, I believe we should, unless anybody else has anything to say, we should just proceed with the information that we have.
It was interesting that Andromeda mentioned that it's a memory just out of reach. I'm just crossing the fact that does she get stronger if we give her this, radiation?
Well,
Since-
who knows? I mean, we may have to fly the ship a lot closer, and that brings us away from this current objective anyway.
Well, I'd ask the doctor. With his medical information that he has on Andromeda, would you be able to theorize? And it probably is a long shot, but does her species have any reaction to potentially temporal effects?
It's hard to say. Typically, temporal studies are restricted for certain and obvious reasons. With no other species of hers around to do a comparison with, I don't have a proper baseline. She could be an anomaly even among her own people. So, for her memories, though, to be coming back, it seems to be stimuli of being back in her native galaxy. That could be from the radiation, or it could also be from visually seeing and encountering remnants of her past.
But she also has a symbiotic relationship with her suit, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and until we find a creature that is similar to that, I don't have a comparison. This is what has stumped the Daystrom Institute as well.
Yeah.
All right, forgetting about Andromeda species, and let's narrow the search a little bit and just completely theorize complete speculation.
Isn't there a DM out of character? Isn't there a system of deducing this kind of information?
There is. I've honestly not had much success with it. Let me see if I can find the actual page it's on. But basically, it's one of those things where you say, "Hey GM, I think X, Y, and Z." I say, "Yeah, one of those is correct," and then you spend dice rolls and stuff, and you do what is basically an extended task. And at the end of it, I tell you whether or not you're right. And if you're wrong, you pretty much just got to do it all over again.
Yeah, it's mainly a mechanic for story sets.
Yeah, it's mostly a mechanic for, I would say, lesser experienced GMs and players. I would say it's better just to handle it narratively and via RP than to make it a mechanic.
Yeah, main thing is I'm still sort of in the dark on exactly what to do. I mean, I would like to get going, but we can't just leave this stuff here. And the ship is not a big one.
Well, I kind of just wanted to explore another thing. Potentially, it may or may not work. I'm throwing ideas out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what is it?
Well, since I have a focus on temporal mechanics, out of character question, would I at least know, at least Alpha Quadrant races that may have had, known effects, known temporal effects, specific to their race when time travel is involved? Think maybe people like the Elorians.
I would say yes, your knowledge would cover that, but I think the question you're about to ask me is, do you detect that with Andromeda, yeah?
That's not the question.
Okay.
Because I'm guessing that will probably be no.
Mm-hmm.
I just simply wanted to know if I had that information. I wanted to know, well, actually, I'm gonna keep that close to my chest. I'm not quite sure yet. It's still a theory.
Okay.
Where's an Elarian when you need one?
Well, I'm theorizing that basically the Toth are on a scientific expedition because they're interested in neutronium, and neutronium here has a strong gravimetric field, which they use in their sensor systems, and they're being drawn to it. So can we mask the gravitational field in some way so they would not be drawn to this particular location?
Yeah, nullifying the effect of gravity around a neutron star.
That'd be one hell of an undertaking.
Yeah.
But you understand
I-
my idea. They're drawn here because of the anomaly.
Well, yeah, but we're not saying what you're saying is incorrect. I'm just thinking about the desired action to achieve that.
I just saw something that works on that vein that may be crazy, but it might just work. Since
I'm
their
all ears.
sensors are drawn to the gravitational pull, could we not simply create false pings of that using, say, drones and stuff like that? Can we just make their sensors see 4 or 5 of them split in different directions, causing them to lose their directional sense?
Well, we could. However, the cause of the event is that a ship gets lost in this thing.
And it is at this point that oh no, Galen, I think you were saying something.
I just have a question. Why not figure out why they're drawn to this? Why are they here?
Because of the neutronium. They're interested in
Well,
neutronium.
we're still guessing at that. We actually don't know that for sure.
Yeah, and Zava actually does kind of point at Galen and says, I mean, all right, I think we're forgetting the very obvious course of action. We could just talk to them.
That's true.
This is uncharted space, so no one necessarily has any claim here. But considering our incident at the neutral zone a few weeks back will probably be less than amicable. But nonetheless, I don't necessarily think we should pursue that option yet. If we were to talk to them, I'd like it to be on our terms. But we need to figure out this information first before we engage with them. So that's something that I think we should do last.
All right, let's start with this. Science team, I would like you to start scanning this thing, see if you can actually get neutronium out of this situation. If it's too hard or anything else like that, it may be to our benefit to provide that information.
You want to acquire large samples of neutronium.
Well, to see how hard it would be. If it turns out that this particular neutron star is too hard to work with, that might resolve the situation if that's what they're looking for.
Okay, and
basically to collect as much information as you can about whether it's workability, harvesting, you name it. I want to know.
Okay, and I'd ask for Commander Havoc's assistance on that. Also,
I can work on that.
Also, I have another idea I'd just like to throw out there. Since this is a temporal anomaly, can we make use of that anomaly ourselves in this situation?
That's risky. It's not playing with an anomaly that we still completely don't understand. If what our science hologram says is to necessarily be believed, then even then sending him here was a difficult and last minute situation in and of itself. But it does warrant further study.
Okay. Question for the Game Master. I'm kind of assuming even if we wanted to get them, we would have to go into the gravitational field of this star, right?
To gather information, yes. But interfacing with the Toth vessel, it's still at long range. It's nowhere near the gravitational eddy yet. Yeah, you don't have to do anything but talk to them or interface with them if you wanted to do that. But yeah, if you wanted more information about the neutron star and the surrounding space, you do have to be in the gravitational well.
Okay, so I explained that we'd have to approach it to get more information on what you request, Captain.
And honestly, I don't advise approaching it until we have the ability to decipher this data from the shuttle.
Did we get anything else from when we sent the probe in?
Nothing that I would say of note. It's mostly just nerd stuff.
Alrighty. Well, if there are no more suggestions, we'll go ahead and call this meeting adjourned.
All right.
All right, get the hell out.
All right. So where's everyone going? I guess, or are people staying behind? I guess is the first question I should ask.
Actually, I'll stay behind to talk to the captain.
Okay.
For a little.
Wait, what are the probabilities of one Toth cruiser triplicated? That's
What do you mean by
what
that,
Mayweather's
Mayweather?
saying. Well, that's the
Due
occurrence
to
that the ship got in a fight with.
right, we're supposed to fight three, but what if it's the one and it somehow, you know, does something wacky or
Mhm.
interacts with this thing and it triplicates? So we're instead of fighting one, we're now fighting three Toth cruisers, but it's the same cruiser triplicated.
No, I think you got your timeline off. Basically,
Yeah, we're fighting them in the future, not at the present.
right. This one falls into the
We're dealing with a
anomaly.
time paradox. No, what happens then could be happening now. I'm not going to use from a certain point of view, but you know what I mean.
Oh,
No, 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 I see.
so you're saying that this ship might be the three on the other side.
Well, either
Correct.
way, once we touched this ship and realized that we were getting information from the future, we're in the paradox now. It's whether the thing is, what action do we take to ensure we get out of it and hopefully don't end up as newts on the deck of the ship. You
Well, yeah.
don't have enough information to really make an educated decision about this.
Which is why I still feel like we should proceed with the information that we have. And we know what we know, and we're going to try to learn a little bit more. But at that point, when we start arguing about minutia, we're liable to trigger something that didn't necessarily happen in either causality.
All right, so let's get the science team started with the neutron star. At least we can figure out more information from there without getting a yes or a no.
I'd actually also like if the science team, most likely led by Mayweather, is getting information from the neutron star. I'd like Mayweather, and I'd like Mayweather with me to help assist convincing our science hologram, since I assume Havoc is also going to be timed up.
All right, he's all yours.
I head off.
I'll go to the bridge.
All right.
I actually tapped the captain to have him me and him to stick back to talk after everyone leaves.
Sure.
Oh, that's fine. All right, so if nobody else has any other questions, get the hell out of my briefing room.
All right, so yeah, just the captain and Havoc.
All right, what can I do for you, Chief Engineer?
All right, let's get down to the dirty of this. Are we going to follow the Prime Directive, or are we going to follow the Temporal Prime Directive, or are we going to just use them as simply guidelines at this point? We're too deep in the temporal anomaly really to, well, follow it perfectly. All honesty.
Yeah, well, once all that information falls in your lap, it's do you let it happen or not? Especially if it means the death of your own people, so to speak.
I, for one, think that altering the future ever so slightly may or may not be the best decision at this point. Admittedly, this does raise a few questions of my own philosophically, but I'm not going to go into that shit.
Yeah, I'm not exactly comfortable with this either, but we really can't afford to let the Fryla just be destroyed.
We can't afford that. The Federation cannot afford that. I, all honesty, think if we alter the future ever so slightly, I don't think anyone would really know. Looking at it.
Well, that's the problem. You never know if just touching this thing at the wrong spot is gonna detonate a star or something.
I'd take a singular star going up in flames than watching two civilizations probably go down in them.
It's a figure of speech, Havoc. It's a figure of speech.
Also, what do you... I was, all honesty, absolutely terrified of finding the older me being cranky and angry at the front of that ship. I'm not gonna lie.
What's this?
That the ship we picked up, I was actually afraid that it'd be me in there.
Oh, well, be glad you dodged that kind of a phaser shot then.
Yeah, I would probably punch myself to knock me out and then keep me keep me knocked out until finally this is all over. I'd rather not get punched in the face by myself. As paradoxical as that sounds.
Well, looks like you're going to have another tertiary mission.
Also,
keep thinking of some ways to boost our power should we ever encounter these 3 ships. This little ship needs to be able to fight back.
Also, I sincerely think that it's not exactly the neutronium they're out here for. We have a bit of neutronium, and if they really wanted some, they would just fire some ships at those dead planet killers.
Yeah, but that's deep in farthest space. This is uncharted.
Do you think they really care about borders at this point?
Well, ones that are all the way in their territory, yeah, that takes a little bit more effort to get to. But I mean, if it was on the border, I'd be right there with you. But that gate is right in the middle of their territory. I'm not saying it's not possible, but
yes. Also, Merrick, well, the scientist and I, we started looking at the neutronium, and he was theorizing that all the neutronium that was in that area was actually ripping the gate open. Pandora's gate specifically. So, technically, we could attempt to overcharge the neutronium in this space and rip a hole open to basically get rid of whatever we're facing. But that's only a theory.
yeah.
It would be incredibly dangerous, but...
Oh, yeah, guaranteed. I don't exactly like playing with stars. Alrighty. I'll take it all under advisement. Thanks, Havoc.
I nod and exit. Of course, go and recharge my level of saltiness by yelling at a few of the slower engineers down the engineering deck before heading to help the scientists.
All right. So, Captain, the moment Havoc leaves, there's a flash of light, and across the table from you is an individual that you have been briefed on before. She is a avian humanoid in nature, and you would immediately identify this as the Q that is supposedly in charge of the Andromeda Galaxy. And as soon as she appears, and I will apologize for my dog's collar there, as soon as she appears, she just sort of looks at you smugly and says, "Quite the predicament, Captain. Would you like some advice?" And that's where we're going to end the session. Because I'm a dick.
Cliffhanger.
Freaking Q!
So, ladies and gentlemen, that is where we're going to end the session. So players, stick around for a little bit longer. But to anyone watching on Twitch or YouTube, thank you for watching. And I will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.